The Penthouse is a wild ride. If you haven't seen a good K-drama in a while with twists and turns at every corner, each episode ending on major cliffhangers, then The Penthouse is for you. If you guys haven't seen The Penthouse Season 1, highly suggest you watch it or watch this recap to catch up because Season 2 is officially dropping February 19th. Alright, so first things first, what is the Penthouse? Well, the Penthouse in the series is called the Hera Palace, a huge sky-rise luxury apartment tower that only the most wealthy families can live in. Yeah, me and you, we're never stepping foot in there, okay, let's be real. Now, the first episode starts with a real killer hook, and I mean killer. Cheon Seo Jin is one of our main characters, and she's dressed up, she's dolled up, she's looking good, she's about to go to this big party being held on the lower level of the luxury apartments. But as she's descending down, we see the body of a girl flying past the elevator, falling to her death, and just as she passes the elevator, that girl makes contact with Su Ryeon. And it almost seems as if they know each other. As the girl falls to her death, Su Ryeon screams in peril. When she gets to the bottom floor, she can see that the girl has fallen through the glass and died at the statue. The girl crashes through a glass-plated window to her death. And we don't know exactly what caused it, what is going on. Is there a connection between Su Ryeon and this girl? Well, stick around because we're about to get there. The next scene is when we're introduced to our second main character, Yoon Hee. Now, she's working as a real estate agent without an official license, so it's kind of like under the table. She's trying to help this really wealthy congressman try to get this really nice apartment, but just immediately you can see that the congressman, he's kind of a douche. He's not cool, okay? And it's here that Yoon Hee discovers that he's actually having a secret affair with a famous actress, and that's why he wants this apartment. Further in, we get to see a little bit more of Yoon Hee's life. She's a single mother raising her daughter, Rona, who's actually a very talented opera singer. And despite Rona being really good and having a lot of potential, her mother begs her and pleads with her to just give up the dream. And we're not exactly sure why. Why would she want her to give up when she's so good? Then we move on to one of our main antagonists, Cheon Seo Jin. She's also an opera singer who was born into a wealthy family. She has a very bad and violent history with Yoon Hee, which we'll get into. She now teaches at this very prestigious art school, which Rona actually wants to get into. She's actually married to this guy named Ha Yoon-chul, who's a doctor at another prestigious hospital, which is also owned by Seo Jin's family. And their chemistry, their balance, it's very off. Like, they definitely don't love each other. You can see that right at the beginning. They both treat each other like crap. Now, later at a party, Seo Jin meets Judante, which is Su Ryeon's husband, and while everyone's having a ball, everyone's having fun, Seo Jin, you can tell she's very unhappy with her marriage, and she makes a move on Judante, okay? And he being the piece of crap that he is, which we're about to find out, he makes a move back, and this is when they start their nefarious affair. Meanwhile, they keep it all a secret from everybody, and this just further exemplifies how Judante, who's the main antagonist, I think, maybe just along with Seo Jin, he really shows how just terrible of a person he is. He acts like he loves his wife so much on the outside, but really in real life he's just a terrible person. You just see that more and more as the drama progresses. As for the other characters, we have Kang Mira, who's she's a pretty scary ajumma. She's this woman who her daughter is Jenny, who hates Rona's guts. They're like kind of rivals because Jenny knows that Rona's really good and she's afraid that Rona's going to take her spot if she gets into the into the high school that she's trying to get into. It's really bad. We also have Ko Sang-a, who's the wife of Lee Kyu-jin, who's this, oh my god, he's such a mama's boy. Like, he is such a little punk. Trust me, okay? He will annoy you. Other times, he might make you giggle out of just how stupid he is. Anyway, he's a lawyer. He also lives in Hera Palace. All these people live in Hera Palace except Yoon Hee and Rona. They're all rich. They all got the money. Okay, we're never gonna live there. Don't forget. Moving on, we meet the rich family's spoiled kids, and we just get to see how nasty they are. And it's almost like it's just like so overblown, out of proportion of how nasty these rich kids are. But, you know, it's a good example of what pretty much could happen and sometimes does happen in real life. We learn that Judante and Su Ryeon have two kids. They're twins. They're Seok-kun and Seok-kyung. And it's only in episode 2 that the maid of their apartment pretty much reveals that Su Ryeon is not their real mother, and that really pisses them off because they thought she was their real mother this whole time. And yeah, she's been kind of neglectful to them, you know, over the years. I mean, she never stopped loving them and caring for them, but the twins kind of failed to see that. And then they also find out that she has another daughter that she's tried to keep secret this whole time, who's basically suffering like brain damage. So she's been like in a coma like her whole like 16 years of life. And it wasn't that Su Ryeon didn't care about her two twins, it's that she always had to run and cater towards her sick daughter that she was trying to care for, which is from her first marriage, which we're gonna talk about. Oh my god, there's so many crazy things that happen. Now the twins, okay, look, they're pretty pissy, but they're not just like evil born from nothing, okay? Most of their hatred and their viciousness, I think, comes from their father, Judante, who literally beats them and just treats them like crap and just forces them to be the best that they can. And when they can't be the best that they can, then he blackmails or like bribes other people to get their grades better. Anyway, it's soon after that we're introduced to another character who's my personal favorite, Min Seol-a, who's actually a high school student who's pretending to be like a UCLA grad student, and she pretty much gets this tutoring job to teach the rich kids, teach them and help them with their studies. But it's here that you really see how mean and nasty these rich kids treat just normal people. Even their teacher, who's supposed to be, you know, older than them, they just treat her like crap. Anyways, during an opera singing competition for people to audition to get into this prestigious operatic arts high school, Seol-a is actually one of the people that auditions, and one of the twins, Seok-kyung, she actually sees that she's walking into the audition, and that's when she discovers that, hey, you're not a UCL grad student, you're in the same grade as me, and you're just gonna go into my high school? I don't think so. So basically they just treat her like crap. The dad literally like steps on her and like kicks her, and he's just a piece of crap. Meanwhile, Su Ryeon, I wish she would have done something, but she's kind of just forced to just stand there. But later she goes to apologize and says like, you know what, I hope you're not feeling too bad. That was pretty bad in there, but you know, you should contact me if you ever need anything. So we see that she feels for her, you know, and she's a good character. She's not like all these other like evil people around. Now, when we find out the audition results, we find out that Rona, who auditioned, she did not get in, and she was immediately put on the waiting list. Now, why didn't she get in? She was probably good enough to get in, let's be honest, you heard that voice. But because of her history, her mom's history, Yoon Hee's history with Cheon Seo Jin, who's one of the judges, obviously she's gonna fail her. However, you know who did get in? Min Seol-a. She actually got in like #1 spot, so she's all set to go to this prestigious art high school. Berona is on the waiting list. She's going crazy with grief. She feels terrible. And it really makes you wonder, like, what exactly happened between like Yoon Hee and Cheon Seo Jin that like made their history so bad? Okay, well, in a nutshell, they were rivals when they were in the exact same spots as their daughters, right? They were both in high school. They were both trying to be like the best operatic singers of their generation. And to be quite honest, Yoon Hee was just better than Seo Jin, and she definitely like won this competition when they were both trying to get this super prestigious trophy of this really big contest. But because Seo Jin is from, you know, a very prestigious and wealthy family, she was able to pretty much bribe the judges, so she ended up winning. This put off a whole confrontation, okay? Yoon Hee drags Seo Jin into this one dressing room, and she's like, hey, admit the truth, right? You cheated, didn't you? You bribed them, didn't you? And then Seo Jin's all like, yeah, I did, but what are you gonna do about it? I won. I've been waiting my whole life for this, okay? I won. I beat you, fair and square. Well, not fair and square, but you know what I mean? And then an altercation arises. They fight with each other. Seo Jin basically takes the trophy. She slashes Yoon Hee's throat, and that's why she has this scar there. And then she passes out. She faints on purpose. Everybody comes in. They take her to the hospital. They just leave Yoon Hee there. It's just so much grief. It's just so much terrible stuff happening. You just can't help but think like, oh my god, there's just so much evil in this show. Now later on, remember that child of Su Ryeon's that she's been keeping a secret? Well, she actually finds out that that child is not really her child, and her real child was switched at birth. And her real child is out there somewhere, and she just never knew about it, and she goes hysterical, she feels terrible. We also see a flashback scene of Judante, you know, getting broken up with Su Ryeon whenever she was in America. She fell in love with someone else, she was pregnant with his baby, everything seemed to be so good, but Judante, he does not want to let her go, okay? He's madly in love with her, he does not want to let her go, so much to the point that he actually hires a bunch of goons, and he assassinates her husband, and he basically is like, hey, I'll take care of you, okay? And you can take care of my twins, you know, I'll set you up for life, everything will be good. And Su Ryeon pretty much just has like no choice. He also offers to take care of her bedridden child, which he is the one responsible for switching with her healthy daughter, who's just fine. And he basically uses that as a way to kind of keep her with him, saying like, I'll take care of your daughter, you know, I'll take care of everything, just stay with me. It's very manipulative, it's just very evil, it's very twisted, but don't worry, things eventually get better, sort of. There's a lot of cathartic moments in the series where you're just gonna be like, Ah, finally, been waiting for that moment. And that's what makes this show good, in my opinion, is that there's so many things where, the characters just have like a foot on their throat the whole time. So when you get to those moments where they finally get to clap back, it feels very good and very satisfying. Now, Su Ryeon was able to find out that her real daughter was given to this orphanage called Hope Orphanage, and she went there to find out like what happened, but the orphanage like closed down for some unknown reason, which you'll find out later. Meanwhile, Yoon Hee, she's like literally losing her mind because her daughter's losing her mind because she didn't get in, and her daughter's blaming her. This is all your fault for your history with Seo Jin. So Yoon Hee goes to Seo Jin and she's like, hey, please, listen, just put everything aside, okay? Don't bring our children into this, okay? Just punish me. Just let my daughter in. And then Seo Jin's like, hey, you really want to get in? Well, why don't you kill someone for it? That's how much you love your daughter, right? So basically, she like convinces her, not convinces, well, almost. She tells her to go kill Seol-a, the girl that got #1. She tells her, well, if you kill her, your daughter will be able to get in. There's a spot. And this is times like this where it's like I really just don't like some of these characters, even though they're the main characters. Yoon Hee actually contemplates on killing Seol-a, but she comes to her senses and doesn't do it. Seo Jin herself talks to Seol-a and tells her to drop out, and Seol-a says no, she refuses. She even she's able to get dirt on Seol-a and Judante because she catches them and their affair. She catches them kissing, and she actually records a video of them and uses it to blackmail Seo Jin into letting her stay in the school. Now later is when we get to the party where Seol-a actually passes away and gets thrown off of the roof. It's this catalyst that really sparks all of the tension and gets the story going. Now at first we think, oh, maybe it's Yoon Hee because she gets real drunk, she goes to the party, she wants to confront Seo Jin, but she's stopped by Ha Yoon-chul, who we discover was actually her ex love, her first love, and they were dating when they were teenagers, and Seo Jin actually stole him away from Yoon Hee just further to get revenge on her, and she ended up marrying him. Even though she didn't like him, she didn't have a single thing in common with him, she married him and he married her because she said, hey, I'll put you through school, I'll get you all the education you need, I'll pay for everything, just stay with me. And he has pretty much been regretting it this whole time. He stops Yoon Hee, tells her to go home, blah blah blah. The next morning she wakes up, she gets a call, and they're like, hey, we got a spot for you, your daughter can get in, she was #1 on the waiting list. And she's like, what? How can she get in? Oh, well, one of the students died, so there's a spot open. And then Yoon Hee's all freaking out because she's like, oh my god, I don't remember what happened. Did I do it? Did I do it? Well, it's hard to say because we don't actually see who did it yet. Now, all the while this is happening, Su Ryeon is still trying to find out who her real daughter is, and as she gets to the bottom of things, she's actually able to find out that her real daughter is Min Seol-a, the girl that pretended to be her tutor, the girl who got in #1 into the school and passed the auditions. The only girl that she actually seemed to have a human level connection with. And what exactly happens next? Well, that's the moment where she sees her daughter falling right in front of her eyes to her death. And that is why she just seems so just surprised, sad, scared, and just horrified in that moment. I mean, anybody should be, but imagine you just discovered this is your daughter and then you see them plummeting to their death. It's just really it's just really sad overall, and you just can't help but seek revenge along with Su Ryeon during the whole series. Now right after Seol-a's death, Judante notices that she fell right in front of a lot of people could see that she fell right on this important statue. So he quickly oh, okay, everybody, the next party's gonna begin in 2 hours, so we'll see you there. So he sends everybody off. He gets the rest of the bad characters, these rich parents, to help him clean up the body, clean up the mess, plant the body in another village, and plant a suicide note, and light her old apartment on fire. And you know what? It's a success. They successfully cleaned up all the blood, they moved the body, they planted the note, they set the apartment on fire, and then they immediately go to the after party right afterwards, as if nothing happened. But something did happen, okay? Because nobody expected Su Ryeon to witness that Seol-a fell and see that she had died. They didn't expect anyone else to see. So it's at this point where Su Ryeon is really suspicious, and she starts to investigate and do her own thing, and this is where the story really starts to move forward. Now there's a lot more other stuff that happens in this drama, and things just keep getting crazier and crazier. We find out that Min Seol-a actually had a stepbrother, and she actually used to live in America until she was falsely deported for a crime she didn't commit. There's a whole conspiracy going on with, kids that are picked up from orphanages, adopted into American families, and then just sent back for these crazy reasons. But she actually did have a stepbrother who she became really close with, who helps her. He becomes a central figure. He helps Su Ryeon. They team up to get their revenge on these despicable people. There are so many good moments, and honestly, I ship them so bad, but you know, one thing leads to another, and you just have to see what happens. I still don't even know what's fully going to happen. Because Su Ryeon is so obsessed with finding Min Sora's killer, her daughter's killer, she ends up, you know, befriending Yoon Hee, and she sees a little bit of her daughter in Rona, so she helps them get into Hera Palace and moves them in there with her help. She helps her daughter, you know, get into the school. Her and Yoon Hee become like the best of friends. But then eventually, you know, like she has to reveal to Yoon Hee that, hey, you know, like, I hope you aren't too upset, but I was using you partially because I needed to find my real daughter's killer and blah, blah, blah. And eventually it's revealed that most likely through flashbacks, Yoon Hee might have actually been the one to kill Min Sora. And this is just so crazy to me because it's just like, oh my gosh, like why Yoon Hee? Why did you have to do that? Now, personally, I'm still not entirely sold that Yoon Hee, you know, killed Sora because it's just such a crazy, absurd thing to do. Like, I know you love your daughter, but you would kill another innocent girl, you know, that literally never did anything to anybody just to get your daughter into a prestigious high school? Come on. But then on the other hand, maybe Yoon Hee, maybe she did do it. From what I gather, the only real perfect or close to perfect people in this show that don't have an evil bone in their body is Su Ryeon and her daughter Seol-a. And honestly, they're my favorite characters, just me personally. I mean, like, so many of the characters are great characters. There's so much depth to them, and there's a lot of character progression. I honestly can't wait to see what happens in Season 2. So if you guys want to find out what happened in Season 1 and definitely catch up and see what happens in Season 2, you can do so by watching the series on KOCOWA. It's available in the US and Brazil. All you got to do is go to the website, make an account, and choose your subscription plan. I honestly, I can't wait for the show to come back. I hope some characters come back that, you know, we thought might not be coming back. There's just so much going on. If you guys enjoyed this video, leave a like, comment down below, let me know your thoughts on what's going to happen in Season 2, and click the link down below to check out KOCOWA and start watching today.